Holy freaking smokes! Guys, that has got to be some of the best Star Wars I have seen in a very long time. I know us Rebels and Clone Wars fans are eating so good after seeing that episode. That's some of the best Star Wars I've seen in years. One of the best TV show episodes of Star Wars ever. I'm speechless, guys. I loved that episode of Ahsoka. But it's not only because of what we got with the Clone Wars and the fan service, but we also got a cool message with the character and a direction in the show that I actually loved. And today, I am here to talk to y'all about Ahsoka Tano episode 5. If you haven't seen it, spoiler freaking warning, guys. This is it. This is the only warning you're getting. Let's talk about it. I will admit, I've been a little out of the loop on Ahsoka. And I love Clone Wars. I love Snips. I love the character. I love Rosario Dawson's version of this character as well. Seeing her come in the Mandalorian season 2 and just how this character has really evolved over the years and how we really watched her grow up. But then I got to the show and I'm gonna be real with you guys, I wasn't loving it. The first couple episodes I really liked. Episode 3 and 4 I didn't hate, didn't love, but then we got to this episode and guys, I got a McDonald's cup in the frame. This is the episode I wanted so much, that character-centric, character-focused study on Ahsoka Tano and the problem at hand. Now again, spoiling, I said I would only give you one warning, but here's another one. Because she loses the battle to Baylan Skoll, rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. Thank you so much for your wonderful performance. And now we are here where she's in the world between worlds, which we've seen in Rebels. And now we get to see Ahsoka pretty much have an experience, a before-death experience, and she's between life and death. And I love how they symbolize life and death with black, how Anakin is in all black, but then Ahsoka ends up being in all white later in the episode to symbolize that she chose life. I loved it to its core. I thought the theme of life and death was wonderful. I like the play on the light and dark because Star Wars, in my opinion, different than Avatar: The Last Airbender, which changed its lore in The Legend of Korra, but that's for another day. Light and darkness in Star Wars has always been life, death, good, bad. The colors white and black, just the colors, okay? But I feel like we have always dealt with these themes over and over, and to see it really hit its nail on the head in the Ahsoka series and really come back and play a central theme to this episode is just such a beautiful experience for a Star Wars fan to really get back to the bare bones of Star Wars, light versus dark, good versus evil, to really break that down and symbolize it in this episode was such a brilliant move. Man, Dave Filoni gave us what we wanted here. He gave us Clone Wars fans what we wanted, guys. We wanted to see the Clone Wars in live action, and guys, we got it. We got it in so many wonderful scenes where Anakin is leading a battalion of stormtroopers, clone troopers, and we see them, and I love to see Anakin in his classic Clone Wars like look. He's got the same haircut. It's just such a wonderful treat.
Finger licking good special.
I loved to be here to witness this awesome moment. Ariana Greenblatt, you are carving out a hell of a career playing younger versions of beloved characters, because girl, you killed it here as Ahsoka, you killed it as Gamora. Love seeing it. She did a wonderful job bouncing back and forth between Hayden Christensen. I love him referencing his teachings from Obi-Wan and roping it into his teachings with Ahsoka and saying, you know, this is a passed down and a lived in experience where we keep passing these things down and we're like one big family. It was so wonderful to see Anakin as Anakin again, but then to get those blips of Darth Vader were just the cherry on the top. Quick little blips of like reminding us where reality is, reminding us that she's not dead, y'all. She knows what ended up happening to Anakin Skywalker. Love that small detail in the episode. And man, Mary Elizabeth Wine said she's got her son Jason, and let me just be honest, his name is Jason. He's force sensitive. Maybe that's not going to end up being the same character. I don't love Ahsoka the series as a whole, but I love this episode, and this episode was an episode that I felt like actually had the qualities of Ahsoka I've been looking for. I wanted this show to be about Ahsoka, and I know Ahsoka's a pretty central figure to the show. It's called Ahsoka, and it does follow her, but it is a follow-up to Rebels. Let's be 100%. That's been a little bit of a double-edged sword in my case. Big Achilles heel for people who haven't watched Rebels, unfortunately. They're not really gonna know what's going on. I do think where it lends a good hand to this is that we at least have some plot going on here. We at least have a bigger purpose, but I wanted the purpose to be more tied to Ahsoka, and it's very tied to Ezra. But guys, that's another video. I really enjoyed episode 5. I love that on the brink of death, Anakin Skywalker, her master is who she sees. He symbolizes at this moment the brink between life and death, and is the physical manifestation of that choice. And I loved it. I love getting to see young Snips again. Love getting to see Anakin and Snips interact. And I just loved, as a Clone Wars fan, getting to see this all in live action. We saw Ahsoka with the green lightsaber. We saw her with the 2 blue lightsabers. I'm nerding out right now, y'all. I could do more of a breakdown style, but I just wanted to review this episode and really geek out with you guys, because this was a hell of an episode, a great episode for Clone Wars fans. But the one big issue, what about people who haven't watched Clone Wars? That's the only problem with this episode, is the people who haven't watched the supplemental material will not really get how amazing and exciting this episode is. And so I would say that's the one issue with Ahsoka, the series as a whole. Unfortunately, it's hard to get into when you haven't seen the Clone Wars, and it's harder to get into when you haven't seen Rebels. Rebels is required viewing, and so is Clone Wars, at least a little bit of it, to understand what's going on here. But if you've gotten that far and you've enjoyed Star Wars supplemental material, I can tell you now, that was Cloud 9, baby. And if we get the next few Ahsoka episodes just like that, I might be ready to call this one of the best Star Wars live action projects to date. Best! Up there with the movies, guys, because it really is so rich and such a beautiful payoff for a character's story, for that lore, how long it's been built up over Clone Wars. But I digress. I understand that for those who haven't watched it, it's a little bit tougher to really get into, but man, I loved the episode. I loved it as a Clone Wars fan. I loved it. And even as a fan of the lore of Star Wars, Rosario Dawson, Ahsoka, I liked that episode, and I wish more of the series was like this episode. Ahsoka centered, Ahsoka focused. I like the Rebels crew. Don't get me wrong, I love the Ghost crew, but damn, I wanted some more focus on Ahsoka in the show. And I think this episode delivers in that way, and you got her in the white. You got her controlling the flying whales. Can't remember the name of those creatures off the top of my head, but you got her connecting to him with the Force, just like Ezra Bridger did. Wonderful episode. Great job, Rosario Dawson. Great job, Dave Filoni. Great job to the Star Wars team. This was excellent, guys. You gotta let me know your thoughts down in the comments. What did you think about this episode? Some people were really hyping it up, and I will admit, I was a little nervous pressing play because people have been hyping up the series, and I've been a little, but okay. I really, really, really enjoyed this episode a lot. I loved it. I can say this episode I loved. The rest of Ahsoka, not as much. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and if you're new on the channel, hit that subscribe button down below, baby, and we'll see you next time on Geekly Vids.